like it's 1 minute. On the camera.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. What's the time?
Yeah. It's almost 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're good.
So, we all know that in Star Wars, Luke is charged with bringing balance to the Force, and in the end he ends up doing so, but he loses his father. So that brings us to my quotation, which was, "It is impossible to please all the world and one's father." And I took this to mean you can't win them all. And I completely agree with this. And I will show how I agree with this using the Hunger Games, the mating rituals of the praying mantis, and the hangover. So the first example that I'm going to go over is the Hunger Games. So in the Hunger Games, we see that Katniss goes through an entire journey to... What time is it?
It's 1 minute.
Okay.
So yeah, you got 4 more minutes.
Okay. So we see that Katniss goes through an entire trial to bring her family together and to keep her sister safe was her ultimate goal. And in the end, she ends up starting a revolution and freeing all of the different districts. But her sister dies. And so this brings me back to our quote, which is, "You can't win them all," because she did these amazing things and won for the people, but in the end lost her sister. So our next quote, or our next example, is going to be the mating rituals of praying mantis. So mating rituals in the animal world, they are typically used to as a natural instinct to further the line of the generations of that particular species. However, in the case of the praying mantis, it comes at a very high cost for the male, as the female, after doing their thing, bites the head off of the male. And so, in the end, he gets what he wanted, which was the furthering of his line. However, he dies. So, you can't win them all. The third point that we're going to go over is the hangover. And in the hangover, the characters go through all of this, all of these trials and tribulations to try and create a really great experience for the groom, and they end up having to go through all of these crazy adventures. Some of them are dangerous, they end up having to getting tattoos on their faces and sleeping with prostitutes, which is a total shady business. And in the end, they do actually find him because he's been missing. But at the cost of all these things. So while they had to go through different trials because it was to eventually get to their goal, the trials that they had to go through were really terrible. So that brings me to, we covered the hangover, the mating rituals of the praying mantis, and the Hunger Games. And this brings me back to the quote, which is, "It is impossible to please all the world and one's father," and I told you that I interpret this to mean you can't win them all, and I agree with it. And coming back to Star Wars, if Luke had never gone through all of those crazy things, and if he hadn't lost his father, he probably wouldn't have been able to restore balance to the Force, so in the end, it was probably all worth it.